This is Michael Popok, and this is Legal AF After Dark. There's been a lot of speculation and rumor mongering about Fani Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney. We're here to set you straight about what the charges are, what her reaction has been, and whether it undermines at all the integrity of the prosecution against Donald Trump and others in Fulton County, Georgia. We do it one place on Legal AF. The title is exactly what you think. We do it every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Here's a clip.
So let's get into this controversy in the Fulton County District Attorney criminal RICO case against Donald Trump and about 18 others. I think there have been 4 convictions already. 4 people have pled guilty. So certainly this team that has been assembled by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has been doing impeccable. Let's call that a stipulated fact. Not only in the state court criminal proceedings, but some of the best legal work I have seen in my life, full stop, in the federal court proceedings. I mean, Fani Willis is going against some of the top lawyers, federal practitioners who have thrown everything at her in the federal court in Georgia, in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal, and Fani Willis's team has crushed it. They've won everything. So from a merits-based perspective, I don't know how you can look at the work that's been handled and saying there are unqualified people on Fani Willis's team, incompetent people, or people who don't deserve to be on the team. So I think I want to start with what I believe is an undisputed fact right there. Then we have in this past week, Michael Roman, one of the co-defendants of Donald Trump, someone who we know is cooperating with special counsel Jack Smith. And you think about Jack Smith's approach to this, right? Very surgical, not charging all these other people, listing some co-conspirators in the indictment of Trump, but not charging everybody. Because I think Jack Smith wanted to control it, contain it, be very surgical. Fani Willis said, I'm not going to do that. If you are involved in this criminal conspiracy, you are now a criminal defendant in the RICO case. So Michael Roman, a criminal defendant in the RICO case, he was involved in the fake elector scheme and helping assemble all of that, bring the fake elector ballots. He was one of the people really involved in that. But he filed a motion. His lawyers apparently were tipped off that Fani Willis was having a relationship, potentially a romantic relationship, with one of these special prosecutors on her team, someone by the name of Nathan Wade. Now, Fani Willis has both kind of in-house lawyers prosecuting the case, and she's brought on some outside people from private practice who become what are referred to there. But it's, the names can be different in different states, but these are special prosecutors, people who are hired from private practice who get paid by the municipality, in this case, by the taxpayers in Fulton County, to be a part of this team. So Fani Willis brought on a number of these special prosecutors. One of them is Nathan Wade. And so what is being alleged is that Nathan Wade, one of the special prosecutors, is involved in a romantic relationship with Fani Willis. The way this got unearthed was through a divorce proceeding between Nathan Wade and his ex-wife, where they had previously filed in the divorce court back even in 2021 that there were irreconcilable differences dating back to 2021. But as we all know, family court, divorce court can get very, very, very nasty. And so some new filings were now made, Popok, a few years later, that are conspicuously timed with the motion that is being filed by Trump's co-defendant, Michael Roman, here for this improper relationship, tainting the process, and therefore alleging that all of this should be dismissed. This filing in a parallel divorce proceeding that was pretty dormant, all things considered, for some time, alleging this relationship with Fani Willis, requesting a deposition of Fani Willis in the divorce proceeding, which Fani Willis had to respond to. And I think it is an undisputed fact that we learned this from the divorce proceeding, that Nathan Wade went on at least a few trips with Fani Willis that Nathan Wade paid for. But the question is that payment, since he's being paid from taxpayer money to be a special prosecutor. And to be clear, it's about $250 an hour. It's not an exorbitant fee. It's probably significantly less than what his rate would be practicing in kind of private practice, but kind of drawing, in theory, a connection that he's gotten all this money. And I think his firm has made a total of $750,000, him and his partner serving all this time as special prosecutor on this case. So it's not an insignificant money. But this idea was that improper relationship, these trips being taken, has that tainted the process? And should the whole case be dismissed as a result? I want to get your take. I hope I set that up with just the facts there and what I believe to be undisputed facts. I think it's also undisputed. This is very messy now. And no matter what the outcome is, Judge McAfee's now going to be holding a hearing on it. And this has become a very messy situation, regardless of the outcome, and does, at least to me, feel somewhat like an unforced error in the sense of creating an appearance, or perhaps not an appearance, but giving the defense something to rally behind when you were otherwise just crushing it. And everybody is qualified and competent to be on this team, including Nathan Wade, when you go through his background, deserves to be there. But was it the best judgment of bringing someone on this team that you potentially were involved in a romantic relationship with, knowing the stakes here? So let me pause there and give it the most kind of objective treatment right there. Let me throw it to you, Popok.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to debate affairs of the heart and whether you should date somebody that you work with or not. But I am here to say that nothing that I've seen or I've read, and I've read in detail, as have you, all the filings and the divorce proceeding I never thought I'd have to go look at, about the marriage that, as they refer to it, is irretrievably broken because of infidelity by the wife in cheating on Nathan Wade's with his one of his best friends. That marriage was never being put back together again, nor does there need to be any proof of who he's dating or why he filed for a divorce when he took on the job with Fani Willis, because of that fact that all the parties agreed it was irretrievably broken. And it looks like that, my view, the ex-wife is being a pawn of the Mike Romans of the world, and by extension, Donald Trump, in conducting herself in her divorce proceeding in a way to both harm her husband and to undermine and interfere with the criminal prosecution. And Fani Willis lays it out in her filing, which she objected to an emergency deposition being taken of her as the district attorney. First of all, it's very rare that you're able to take a testimony from a person in an official capacity as high up as Fani Willis. And secondly, because the divorce, there's no issue in the case about why the parties have decided to go for a divorce, meaning the affair of the ex-wife, that who Nathan Wade decided to start dating or not dating after the fact doesn't matter. But more importantly, Fani Willis laid out a TikTok, a timeline on January 8th that tells the entire story. There's just the momentum and the narrative of the events on January 8th. Oh, so close to Jan 6th, right? So Jan 8th, the first thing that happens in the divorce proceeding is that the wife, for some reason, after 2 years, moves to unseal all of the private things that she wanted sealed with Nathan Wade in her divorce. That's weird. Secondly, she notices the deposition thereafter in the afternoon of Fani Willis for a deposition in a matter. And then at 4 o'clock that same day, Mike Roman files his motion to disqualify, claiming that there is an illicit affair going on between Fani Willis and her special counsel, same side of the V, work in the same office. I don't know why this is not an HR matter, as Karen Friedman-Nicolo so eloquently put it on Wednesday's show. But somehow this undermines the very validity and integrity of the prosecution, to which I respond, how? First of all, I want to make it clear, because sometimes we use shorthand, even on this show, where we take pride in not using shorthand and not assuming anything. Fani Willis and the Fulton County District Attorney's Office did not indict Donald Trump. Let me repeat. She did not indict Donald Trump. Prosecutors only indict when they use something called an information. When they use an indictment, it comes from a grand jury. Not just one grand jury. There was a special purpose grand jury that was in place for 7 months. put on dozens and dozens of witnesses and a very hard fought amount of witnesses where Fani Willis had to pop out to federal court on numerous occasions to get certain witnesses to appear. They recommended 20 people be indicted, among them Donald Trump. Then there was a 4-month gap while her office did more work, more investigation. That's what prosecutors do. They use prosecutorial discretion as to whether they're going to seek an indictment. They do the fact gathering and the investigation in order to present evidence to a grand jury, and the grand jury are the people that indict. So that's what happened. And the fact that Nathan Wade, who was brought in to supplement the existing team at Fulton County, at the Fulton County DA, first of all, is not unusual. I did a compare screen on one of my hot takes. Special counsel Jack Smith, who we also think is doing an amazing job on this podcast, has spent $14 million. I mean, a third of it has been for his security needs related to Donald Trump. But $7 or $8 million of it is for his case. Now, with all due respect to Jack Smith, he's got a 4-count case against one defendant in D.C., and he's got Mar-a-Lago, which you're going to explain is on life support, mainly because of a judge that's down there. But he's got a simpler case. Fani Willis took on a much more sprawling indictment. 40 counts, 17 defendants, criminal RICO spanning multiple battleground states, including Georgia. That's a harder case. The fact that her office only needed $1 million tops, $1 million more to do a special purpose grand jury, an indictment, and then I want to give you her score. I want to give our audience her scorecard. She conducted a special purpose grand jury masterfully. A report resulted from it after putting on dozens and dozens of witnesses, including many against their will. She then regrouped and did a regular grand jury and got an indictment. She's had to fend off successfully dozens of motions, bail hearing, and arraignment hearings. She's already gotten 4 felony and misdemeanor convictions of Maine people, including 3 lawyers for Donald Trump to turn state's evidence. She's won twice when people, 3 times, when people claim to have federal removal powers to take their case out of Fulton County and over to federal court. She's won that at every level. She's gotten dozens of cooperating witnesses and witnesses' testimony. She's forced people like Mike Pence to testify after going through a series of litigation related to speech and debate clause. These are all things that we admire, as you pointed out at the top of the segment about her. And she did all of this for her budget and an extra $1 million. I mean, and that's one. Secondly, there is no allegation, and this would shock me, that Fani Willis put on expensed on the Trump account her trips off time to go to Napa Valley at a DoubleTree hotel. I'm not making this up. Or go on a cheap Carnival cruise to the Bahamas for a weekend. Now, if she had booked that to the Trump account with state dollars, I'd be like, oh, that's not good. But the fact that Nathan Wade works for a living and his law firm received revenue for him killing it as a special prosecutor, one of 3, and the fact that then his disposable income is however he pays himself, and he decided to spend $3,000 or $4,000 taking a couple of trips, that in no way undermines the validity, the sanctity of the due process rights or rights to a fair trial by any of the defendants, including those named Trump or Mike Roman. It's just a way to embarrass, harass, give them something to talk about, put her through the ringer when they couldn't get rid of her at the state house level as a prosecutor. They're going to go after what they don't like in this relationship. And I give Fani Willis a lot of credit, because she didn't just shirk away and slink away and act embarrassed, because she's not. She took to the pulpit, literally, the day before Martin Luther King Day. And she told her authentic story about why she believes her judgment is being questioned. Her professionalism is being questioned by hiring a person who was a former judge, a former prosecutor, a defense lawyer, and has been hired around the state, including by white, sheriffs to represent them as special counsel. That's what this guy does when he's, as part of his practice. You and I have a practice. As part of Nathan Wade's practice, he hires himself out as a special prosecutor when prosecutors or others need somebody to investigate something or handle a matter. That's what he does for a living. And to have Ashley Merchant, the lawyer for Mike Roman, right, get on her high horse, and I looked her up too, okay, and her experience, which pales by comparison. She couldn't hold Nathan Wade's jockstrap, sorry, in terms of legal prowess, in terms of experience. All right. She said, well, he's never tried a RICO case. I got news for Ashley Merchant. We've never had a criminal president like Donald Trump, right? Nobody has ever tried a RICO case against a former president for interfering with an election in our entire history. So the fact that he doesn't have that on his resume, nobody has it on their resume, right? But what does that mean? He's not a qualified member of the bar and a 20-year lawyer and a former judge that can't handle a case? I mean, come on. Barbara Jones, who we like a lot, a white former federal judge, she's never been a monitor over a former president's business affairs before, but she was able to pull that off. But I'll end it at this, Ben. I agree with you the way you recited it. It is a bit of an unforced error. We've seen this one other time with Fani Willis, where she sponsored a fundraiser for somebody that was running against one of the people that she was potentially investigating and prosecuting on the GOP side. Maybe that wasn't so great, but the moment he joined, he filed for divorce and they have some sort of after hours relationship and they're off time. Who cares? I mean, and I'm not sure they would be doing this against anybody if it wasn't Fani Willis, another strong black woman like Letitia James in New York against Donald Trump. Mike Roman's in a lot of trouble. And if Mike Roman, not because of yes, because of this. Mike Roman's in a lot of trouble because of his role in interfering with the election and the fact that Ken Chesebro, his co-conspirator, is going to testify against him and already has begun to do exactly that. Mike Roman's also in trouble because if Fani Willis or another prosecutor figures out that he conspired with the ex-wife to undermine the prosecution of this case by trying to undermine and slander Fani Willis, he's got a new count of criminal conduct that he's going to have to contend with.
Look, there's clearly a double standard here in the attacks on Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Yes. However, Fani Willis did run for district attorney in 2020 on the platform of, quote, integrity matters, that she was going to clean up all of the kind of ethical lapses from her predecessor. And she specifically went out and talked about not being supportive of interwork relationships that could distract from the office and duties and responsibilities of the district attorney's office. There's videos of her saying that. There's statements of her saying that, and ultimately, where I come down on this issue of law and order, I agree with you, Popok. There is no, at this stage, causal connection relating to any impropriety in this case at all. But it is in the able hands of Judge Scott McAfee, who I think has been doing a great job handling this case. And ultimately, if in a hearing now, because now, as I said, because of this unforced error, there has to be a hearing. We have to be talking about it. It is a distraction for sure, which is why you want to avoid distractions like this when possible. Judge McAfee will make a ruling, and I will respect that ruling, regardless of what the ruling and outcome is. You're not going to hear anybody on Legal AF after Judge McAfee makes a ruling saying, fake ruling. That was a fake ruling. That's bogus. Judge McAfee conducts a hearing, follows the law, applies the law. Evidence is introduced. There will be a ruling made, and that takes place. You're not going to hear us in any way saying, fake ruling, fake whatever, fake judge. It's all unfair. It's a witch hunt. It's all of these things. So we'll leave it at that. And we hope that you've appreciated that we're going to confront issues like this, have difficult conversations, give you our views on it, and we'll see where that goes.
Well, if you like lawyers who know what they're talking about at the corner of law, politics, and justice, you've reached the right place. One place, the MeidasTouch Network. Don't change that dial. Free subscribe. Help them get to 2 million. And then join us every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. on Legal AF. If you know all about Legal AF, welcome back. Thank you for being here for our journey. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm Michael Popok. That was Legal AF. And join us for the full-length podcast, either on YouTube and or on audio podcast platforms of your choice. So until my next Legal AF, until my next hot take, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.